Well, join me now in the studio is Minority MP for Wale, Tiah Abdul-Kabiru Mahama, for some insights into some of the number of issues that the minority have raised earlier today at that news conference. You're welcome to the studio.
Thank you, and pleasure being with you.
Thank you. Today, the minority painted a bleak picture of the economy. It appears you're playing the devil's advocate. Is that the case? That's your strategy, is it not? Well,
so first and foremost, let me say good afternoon to you and to the people of Ghana. The New Patriotic Party is the official and the major opposition party. And our role as members of parliament and members of the minority is to ensure that government accounts to the people. And that the rhetorics, the government painting a picture when the full story is not told, the part of the story that is not told, it is incumbent on us as members of the minority to tell that story. And we seize the opportunity today, 10 minutes holding power, to account, to educate and to bring to the fore certain matters that the president, that the government has either willfully refused to address, or they are pretending they are addressing them, or the government is actually not telling the good of people of Ghana the truth. And that's why we catalog on the economy. We gave what we think was happening, and what the minority presented is no different from what the IMF has stated as the reason that we are getting the stability. We address issues of Galamsey.
So you're taking credit for the stability of the economy.
We are addressing
But then you're already
Galamsey.
raising concerns about key issues like Galamsey. You allege that the gold board's dual role as a regulator and also one who is buying from the miners is compromising their regulatory oversight.
Well, so what is important is that we need to let the group of know what is occasioning the stability. I'm sure it is an important question. Of course, for the ordinary Ghanaian, if fuel prices are coming down, that is what all matters. But for the informed discourse of our national politics, we will need to tell the good of Ghana, and the president has the onerous responsibility. In fact, he has the constitutional responsibility, even if it's not a moral responsibility, to lead truthfully. And once we think that the president has to lead the good of Ghana, he has to tell them reasons why we are experiencing stability. And that stability is temporary. That is what the president is not even telling the good people, that the measures that were put in place were not measures that will send us out of the woods. They were measures that will rescue the spade at which the the city was falling. Those measures are temporary. So when you come and those measures are helping, you don't go to sleep and letting people think that whenever they are going to complain, you say dollar is 10.8.
You're taking credit for even.
We are sharing the credit. It is only we are not interested in saying that this government, for the fact that we set a template and the government has continued the template, the government needs commendation. But it is the government, selfish desire to take all the credit, the government dishonesty, not to even apportion part of the success and the foundation that have been laid by the previous government. That is the difficulty the minority has. And I think that the good people of Ghana has the responsibility to know that certain measures were put in place. Those measures are yielding results. Of course, this government is continuing such measures, and that those measures are not final or permanent measures. They are temporary measures. Even the cause of the stability of the currency has not been discussed. It is our duty to discuss that, because we know that when the NPP comes to power, the cause of that particular stability will bear the cost of that stability. So it is important that when we are discussing those matters, we'll tell the good people of Ghana what is happening. And on gold board, we raised the issue because when we first raised the issue of the losses, they used all sort of technical terms to try to wash away the unprecedented, the historical loss of $214 million.
But you were here during news file. You were not satisfied with the explanation given by the gold board
The explanation provided they raised more questions than answers. And when we raise those questions, it appears to us that we are only interested in finding fault. But it took the IMF to come back to our position. It took the IMF during a press briefing in Washington to reinstate the fact that those things they call economic losses are actual trading losses, they are transactional losses. So when we come on your platforms and then the government, through whatever PR they want to engage in, wants to wash away the issues, the IMF will come back to expose them. So basically, why we came here to explain, and that was not even probably given the right platform to discuss this matter in extenso, the IMF has brought the matter home to roost. Basically, the IMF has stated clearly that It is huge loss. The governor of the Bank of Ghana has come back to say that, look, we cannot continue such losses. The government has to find a way of absorbing those losses. They have given the the Gold Board and the Minister of Finance a one-month moratorium to find a way of handling the issue, at least. But we think that there are more questions, and that's why we are calling for parliamentary inquiry. And the leader of the minority clearly stated that we've admitted a motion where we expect, where we want to call witnesses, where we want to call people to come and account as to how we can be trading in gold and be making losses. I understand if someone is trading in tomatoes, they are perishable goods. But for gold, whose prices increases every day, we don't expect it for you to be trading in that and be making losses. We also handle the fact that, look, if you are trading gold, it's okay. It's our natural resources. You should get value from it. But have you done issue about traceability? Are you encouraging Galamsey, where we are having traces of cyanide and mercury in our water bodies, where your media station and other journalists and other civil society organizations have been so much concerned about Galamsey and the reeling effect of Galamsey on our water bodies? You're now finding your voice when it comes to Galamsey. The MPP government, let me tell you what the MPP government did. You had a president that put his presidency on the line. Let me tell you what. We're still fighting the canker. Let me tell you. It appears you had failed. Let me tell you that the data does not suggest that the MPP government failed in the fight. MPP government did not eradicate Galamsey, admittedly. And at the point that we were leaving power, remnants of Galamsey was still happening in our country. But the spate, the audacity of the Galamseyers have been emboldened because of the complicit nature of the actors of the government. We and I know that Galamseyers are now emboldened under this government. You and I know that water bodies are now more polluted than they were some 2 years ago. You and I know that the president Akufo-Addo actually banned small-scale mining for 2 years in this country, just to be sure that they can get some firm handle on the issue of Galamsey. When they were telling us that the solution was a state of emergency, we've been giving them the power. They have not declared the state of emergency, and that the civil society organization is quiet. And that's why we think that Article 162 But they met with civil society groups and they had a conversation, and they all came to a consensus that probably we should hasten slowly with it. No one has, even the Catholic bishops, the Catholic bishops have come down with that number, and they have spoken to the deaf ear of the president. That if they don't matter, that recently, about a month ago, they call on the need for the president to put a ban in the meantime on mining, small-scale mining. And that at the rate at which we are going, if we don't take care, the next 4 years, 5 years, we will not have potable water to drink in this country. So now that you're in opposition, you agree that there's a need to declare a state of emergency? We think that the president found the answer. The answer was state of emergency, on the back of which the people of Ghana voted for the president. The only noble thing, there's nothing nobler than to adhere to your own words, to do the very things that you told the people of Ghana that you were going to do. When you do that, and you come to realizing that it was a wrong policy, then you come back to your sense, look, we got the policy wrong. But until you do that, and until that is off the table, you have to go religiously and faithful with that particular commitment to the people of Ghana. And that is what we are concerned about. And we're also concerned about the fact that justice is actually not done, and that the rule of law, the independence of the judiciary, the fact that the judiciary is supposed to serve independent of the executive and the legislature, is being compromised under this government. Simply because the Chief Justice is on a tour? Far from that. The circumstances under which the previous Chief Justice has left the seat is a scar on the conscience of Ghana. And that if the international community is not even so happy with the rate, the manner, with the way and the approach of this whole Article 142 or 146 arrangement by the president, is all the president had calculated as a campaign promise how he was going to execute that, and he executed that clinically. Allegedly. And that we have no proof. And there's nothing more. Allegedly. That is the international community. I recall that during the peak of this, you submitted a petition. Any update on that petition? Well, I think that so Commonwealth bodies have raised issues about this issue. We have talked about it to some international bodies. They think that while they are engaging them, they think that some things are political questions. They want to respect the independence of the country being sovereign, and the right of the president to take decisions. But I think that the president's decision should be guided by good conscience, and that if your decisions are based on politics, Your decisions are based on pettiness. Your decisions are based on the fact that the face of a certain woman that you don't like, and that I will have to get the woman out at all costs.
That is alleged.
That decision is not guided by good conscience.
Stated behavior, misbehavior was actually grounded.
And
the reason why the council advised that they proceed with a procedure for her removal. So, and she was given the opportunity to defend herself.
If that was the stated misbehavior, the president is not even qualified to be the president of the Republic of Ghana. And that if such a bar that they classify and define as stated misbehavior, the basis of which they remove the Chief Justice, the president himself is not qualified.
Why is the minority boycotting that meeting? Because
we think that the CJ is engaging on a thank you tour to appease the very people who scheme, connive to make him the CJ. We think that the processes were hastened through, that someone had not ventilated extensively her rights under the Constitution, that if we had even given her the benefit of ventilating, litigating her matter to the conclusion, because litigation must come to an end. Litigation cannot continue, at large, right? So if the fact that the Chief Justice lacked the patience to even say that I'm putting myself in conflict of interest situation, and going ahead to accept it as if he was already waiting for it, brings moral questions, brings issues about propriety that we are concerned about. And that the fact that we told them and they refused, and the Chief Justice is going on that particular thank you tour, we want history to remember and to serve us right.
It's not a thank you tour, by the way. He didn't state that it's a thank you tour. He's only visiting the key institutions.
And he would not want to use the word thank you tour because he will know that it is clearly a reflection, it's clearly a revelation of his real intent. And for a man who wants to cover, to move under the darkness of night, he will not use thank you tour, right? So we will have to lift the veil and to see it as it is.
So is it the case that the minority, as we speak, you do not believe in Ghana's judicial structure?
We believe that the current judicial structure has been hugely and heavily, and in fact, very, if you like, alarmingly polarized. That is our belief. Our belief is that the judicial has the opportunity to purge itself of that particular, dent, that the scar that have been left on them by the actions and their connivance and their sleeping or being in bed with the executive. They have the opportunity to show that in their judicial decisions, they have the right to stand out, to say that yes, we are independent, and truly so the Constitution has guaranteed our independence, and that they need to act as such. Until such time that the current Chief Justice does that, and we are open, like the minority leader said, we are open to engaging the Chief Justice, to telling him how he's leading and our reservation about his leadership. And if he's ready to carry everyone along, well, we'll give him our full support.
If you feel the judiciary is polarized, will a future NPP government remove the Chief Justice?
The future NPP government will purge the judiciary of the polarization. That's what I can promise you.
Would remove the Chief Justice?
I can promise you that the future NPP government will purge the judiciary of this polarization. We will take every conceivable move, every legal move under the Constitution and the laws of the Ghana to make sure that justice is done, and not only be done, but be seen to be done. And that we will have man of timber to be at the helms of the judiciary. Such a feat cannot be achieved.
So history will repeat itself. A future NPP government will trigger
a future
controversial article to remove the Chief Justice.
A future NPP government, I can say without fear of contradiction, is that we will purge the judiciary of the canker. We will purge the judiciary of the cancer. We will exorcise the spirit that has now characterized the judiciary. And that promise I can give you. And the minority is so committed to that until such time we purge, until such time we pacify the gods of the country, the judicial, totems of this country, we will still continue to have rulings that will have a judiciary that is being in the pocket of the executive.
So then you're actually going to aid the same process you're concerned about?
I am saying
that
we are not going to polarize. We are not going to polarize.
You're going to ensure that
I'm saying that if you
a line person heads the judiciary, that's what you plan to do.
If you do wrong to a person and you take measures to correct that wrong, you are actually administering justice. And that if that particular pursuit of justice is seen as being polarized, then I think that it's a good description.
What is justice? What would justice even mean for the NPP?
Justice means that Mrs. Torkornoo would be given opportunity to lead the people of the country and as the head of the judiciary. Justice will mean that if there are stated misbehavior and that you believe so strongly that those constitute grounds, and that despite her case, that whatever you are accusing me of, the rules and the regulation guiding the judicial service, under which I am the head, has allowed me to do same, whatever your accusations are, that I am paneling people that I like to determine cases, which is exclusive preserve of the judiciary, and that you have not been able to bring any concrete evidence to substantiate that, and that it will take an opaque process. Where a person who has gone to be heard has been refused her primary and natural right, the right to be heard, which is so much engraved in our constitutional and our jurisprudence. That will mean justice has not been done. And our meaning and our perception and our belief in justice means that a person will have the right to be heard. When a process is going to be triggered, it has to be triggered transparently. Our pursuit of justice means that there must be a process where a Chief Justice will know that I so much duly deserve to be the Chief Justice, and I'm so elected, I'm so appointed, and I'm so nominated to be the Chief Justice. That is our perception and our understanding of justice. And our understanding of justice is very much aligned with the Constitution of the Republic of Ghana.
Are you saying you reinstate Gertrude Torkornoo? Should you be given the...
I am saying that Gertrude Torkornoo rights have been violated, and I'm saying that without any fear of contradiction. I am saying that if there are causes or course of action against Torkornoo, there were appropriate measures they could have put in place to handle that. They didn't. And that we will give the people, the petitioners, the opportunity, and then the accused person, the respondent, an opportunity to have their case being heard to the admiration and to the satisfaction of the whole of the people of Ghana. That is our understanding of justice. And anything short of that particular standard is injustice.
The conduct of the night parliament has always come to the fore, especially with this back and forth within the minority and the majority. During your news conference today, you told us that we should expect more of that. Why?
We clearly stated that we are a minority of 87 members of parliament, and that oversight responsibility is not a factor of numbers, and that if you have a diligent single-member minority in the House of Chamber doing his work effectively, without any fear, holding to the oath of office, that member would hold the government accountable. And that as 87 members of parliament in the minority will use every single available parliamentary tool and constitutional equipment or avenue available to the minority.
So we should expect all those chaotic scenes to reappear.
What you claim to be chaotic situation is the fact that we have some intolerant majority trying to, bulldozer their way out in every single matter, and that where a matter demands extensive intellectual intercourse, they will end up trying to use their numbers to bully the minority. And the only way the Constitution has even enjoined the members of the minority to do is to resist, even if it includes the use of force.
You feel bullied by the majority?
And I'm saying that the bullying in the chamber is not something that's going to deter us. We know we are being bullied. We know the numbers are being used, not to the benefits of the good people of Ghana, but to pursue a political agenda. We know that the overwhelming majority that has given it the lances to go on with impunity, to go on with impropriety, and that even laws are hardly passed through, laws that we've raised issues with, and that we were served right at the end of the day. They have gone ahead to pass them. For example, the Gold Ball Act, the very things we are complaining about the Gold Ball, we raised issues with that, but they had the numbers and they went on with it. We will use every single parliamentary tool. We will use every single... and now let me make this clear. The majority actually clarify it, that you shouldn't go to town to say that we'll continue the chaos that happened in the last 5 years. The MPP never triggered any chaos.
You abandoned your seats, you marched to the center of the floor. In fact, it was chaotic. We saw it on screen. We were watching live. You were watching live, yes. And that's not the first time Parliament has had such a scene. In fact, we should expect more. What even saw was better than what happened in the 8th Parliament. People turn the maze, where the maze is, where the maze of Parliament is, to a marching ground.
We've seen videos of that. But we felt that the Speaker moderating affairs, refusing to hear the side of the minority, we had every reason to disrupt the process because it's part of our rules available. And that if we have to shout, if we have to, chant, if we have to make sure that the Speaker hear our voice, no matter how feeble the voice may be, we'll have to use it.
But the
and we're basically doing that.
sought to even get your buy-in during that meeting. I recall so clearly. But the minority, you were adamant. The reason why the majority went on to conduct business with the Speaker and pass most of the bills you're raising concerns about during your news conference. No,
you see, the point is that when you agree with the minority that a certain member of Parliament is entitled to sit in as member of Parliament until the court has finally determined that he is so invalidly elected or he has not been elected validly. And that agreement has been set aside, and then we find the majority leader with the Speaker now taking a different turn. It clearly shows that it is not in line with the Constitution, and that if we had to resist it by all means, we needed to resist it. And basically what we did was not unconstitutional. What we did was constitutional. What we did was actually respecting and defending the Constitution of the Republic of Ghana, and that we felt that at that material moment, we needed to register, and that whatever bill had passed through that particular process, that bill had passed without the cooperation of the minority, and that that bill is as good as the tenor of the NDC. That's just the meaning of that, and the necessary implication of what happened on that day is that whatever decision they took on that day was a decision of the majority. And that decision tenor, the longevity of that particular decision is as good as the tenor of the president. And clearly, we would continue. We are not going to succumb to threats. We are not going to succumb to intimidation. We are not going to succumb to bullying. We know that our people, our elected representatives, over millions of Ghanaians voted for the MPP and for members of Parliament. We represent their voices and we represent the conscience of the country of Ghana.
On the education front, you also raised some key concerns. We know that NACA has since, leadership of NACA has since apologized for that discrepancy we saw with the description of a male and a female in our textbooks. You reject that apology. What do you want government to do?
If we had not been vigilant, if we had not been diligent, if we had not taken the time to peruse that document, our students today would have been learning such matter. Now, come to think of a government that won the sympathy of the good of Ghana because they brand the MPP as promoting LGBTQ. As a matter of fact, they said that the Jubilee House was now the headquarters of LGBTQ+. People bought into that. They came with political reason to sponsor Anti-LGBTQ Act, a bill that they claimed they had passed. Truly, it was passed by Parliament, that the president refused to assent to. The same people having power 1 year down the line have not assented to that particular bill. Granted, that bill has elapsed. Government has passed several bills with the speed of light on the floor of Parliament.
But that's the concern the majority leader raised. And the Speaker explained to him the processes, that the process ended with the 8th Parliament, and so the process will have to be triggered.
And I'm saying that granted that excuse, how many bills has the government passed? Several bills. That LGBTQ bill could not be one of those bills they will bring under the certificate of agency. Even if they wanted to even pass it under the normal processes, would have still passed that particular bill. So that is just an excuse. That is a government not showing commitment to the very words they use to deceive, to hoodwink the good people of Ghana. And we think that that bill is before Parliament. That bill has actually gone through the stages. Bringing it before the Parliament is the duty of the majority leader, who is the leader of government business, to bring it for us to discuss and pass it. And it's the duty of the Speaker to preside over that particular process for us to pass it. It's the duty of the President.
Timothy is a co-sponsor of the bill.
I am a co-sponsor of the bill as well.
So you could.
And I'm saying that. And I'm saying that.
Why are you now dragging your feet?
We are not dragging our feet. We don't have the power to schedule government businesses. And that the House of Parliament is a house of rules. I cannot decide to say whatever I want to say on Parliament if it's not the time to say that. And I cannot introduce a matter for discussion in Parliament without the leader of government business sponsoring or making sure that... You say you're the
mighty minority. You could push this on
the mighty minority cannot push that. And you see that every time we want to even push things that are not as serious as even LGBTQ and things that are even more serious than them, they will always have the hit back the backtracking, and then the pushback of the majority. And I'm telling you that this bill cannot be passed unless the government puts in that particular bill for us to pass it. And you see that they try to sneak it into the syllabus. And that particular afterthought, note that because the good people of Ghana were then bashed, they thought that it would have slipped through, and our student will learn man, woman, being in a different form there than the biological connotation of it. They are backtracking. I just hope that there are no more even other dealings they are having with those particular people in the international community. Because every single now and then, they move out. We don't know what the foreign minister is doing. The foreign minister has lost his voice on the matter of LGBTQ. Mr. Sam George, the minister responsible for communication, has lost his voice on the matter. But they were the lead architects of this matter. And they call parliamentary presidential candidates names on platform that they were the proponents of those particular acts. Now you have the power. You are backtracking on every single lie and every single promise you promise you give the good people of Ghana. And we think that it is not good leadership and that they have to account for what they said they were going to do. And if they will have to take the minority to ensure that they account, we will do it without fear or favor.
What should we expect when Parliament reconvenes? What are the top bills you're looking for?
Well, the first and foremost thing is that we'll have to look at the matter that have led to the losses of 240 million. And now we have filed a motion, the minority leader.
Reserve program?
The parliamentary inquiry on that particular matter is one of the things that on the side of my minority that we'll be pushing. We'll be pushing for the passage of the LGBTQ Act. We want to pass it so that the government, the president can assent to it. As minority, we'll make sure that we probably hold the government, because you cannot suffocate organs and agents of state on the back of prudence and economic management. You are basically halting, you are basically bringing to a halt. You are grounding the wheels of governance if you don't spend. We want to ensure that, and you realize when the vice president was going around institution, every single institution, there was one common denominator of complaint. And when we were telling the government was not spending, they were denying. But when the vice president visited them, you know the common denominator, they said they were not getting their releases. Every single institution that the vice president
visited. The finance minister says that they are indeed spending.
And I'm saying that when the vice president visited his own ministers at their ministries, they said they were not getting their releases. So it's one thing to lie to the good people of Ghana, and then when the reality is now, the litmus test is before you, the chemical test is when your people are facing the hazards of your decisions, right? So we will make sure that we hold government to account and to make sure that they release money to every single thing they have promised under the 2026 budget. Of course, government is bringing several bills. We will cooperate to the extent that such bills are for the furtherance of the public good. Such bills are for the betterment of the good people of Ghana. Such goods are for the development of Ghana. We will give the government our fullest cooperation. But anything short of that, we will resist it, even though we may not win, but posterity will judge and be candid and be kind to the people of the MPP and the minority in the future if our actions or if our decisions are rejected by the majority now.
Thank you so much for your time here.
Thank you very much.
Tiah Abdul-Kabiru Mahama has been my guest here on The Pulse. You're still watching.